till the day he died, kind of old school guys. And it used to be super beat up, which I loved, and I got it serviced just like a year ago, and they polished it. And so while it looks shiny and beautiful, it's actually kind of sad because I used to love to see all the hammer marks on it because he would like stick his hand in nails. So anyways, it passed from my great-grandpa to me, and yeah, it's super special.
See, people don't know that story, right? And like
the guys on the show know the story.
Yeah,
but
the rest of us don't know that story. And you know, the great thing about Rolex is that they make these designs that are, you know, so timeless that watch could have been a watch that was produced, you know, if you're just glancing at it last year or 2 years ago. So no one knows that this is a watch that's, you know, over 40 years old, belonged to a family member, and you know that's why you're wearing it. So is that the watch that you wear most, would you say?
No, I would actually say don't wear this that often. I mean, it's pretty flashy just by being gold. Honestly, the watch I wear most, quite frankly, is just my Timex Easy Reader. Well, it depends on, I guess, where I'm going. But I think my most worn watch to, let's say, art events, like gallery events, would be the Piguet over there. Okay. Because I think it's a little bit more understated.
So we'll get into that. I'll talk about what I'm wearing, because I'm wearing something in solidarity of you, Leo.
I appreciate that.
So you talked about Rolex a lot. I have a few Rolexes. So I'm wearing my Pepsi, my GMT Master 2. It's a lot newer than yours. Like, I'll take it off. It's actually, I have it on, it's on the Jubilee bracelet, but I took it off and put it on this deluxe strap for our podcast episode, and I've kept it on because it's actually pretty nice on that strap. And it changes it up quite a bit.
That's beautiful.
And, you know, this is one of the most recognizable Rolexes. So, you know, you're walking around with that on your wrist with the Jubilee strap. Everyone knows, and, you know, I don't know how you feel about walking with expensive watches around New York City. It can get a little bit
timid, hence why I often wear my Timex.
So same with me. So I wore that because, as we were talking before, I always feel like us in the watch community are a little siloed off of, you know, the rest of the kind of world when we talk about our luxury watches, because we really appreciate them and like them, and sometimes I feel like not everyone understands that. So if you're reaching a much broader audience. So I wanted to invite you on to kind of talk about your collection. You know, we chatted a little bit beforehand, and I was like, are you a true collector? And it seems like you are a true collector. And so I wanted to give you a chance to kind of talk about your collection. And so people don't just think about you as, oh, I have this gold Rolex. Everyone look at it. So, so can you, excuse me?
Yes.
Can you put the, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. Okay. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about your experience on Love is Blind, mostly relating to your watch collection.
Sure.
Did you bring any other watches while you were on the show? I don't even know, like, how long are you there for?
In terms of, I was there for 2 weeks. And, per the watches, no, I actually did not bring any other watches. I don't know why. I knew that I would bring this and thought I would maybe wear it for a special occasion. Maybe if, like, I figured in the reveal I'd wear this, and I intended to bring, like, a regular watch, and I just forgot it. Yeah. So I ended up wearing this every day. But the funny thing is, like, you don't really have a lot of, like, clocks and stuff in the lounge or in the pods. I don't even know if you do. I'm trying to remember. Yeah. So you actually really do, and you know, you don't have your
they
phones.
Take away your phone.
Right. So you actually really do need your watch to tell time, which is funny. Rarely do you actually need your watch to tell time.
I don't think my watch is set.
Right. And so I really made sure this thing was wound.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, so, but there was actually another guy on the show that a lot of the watch talk was in, Tim, if you remember Tim and Alex.
Okay.
He had a watch also from his family. It wasn't a branded watch, but it was like a custom watch that had his family on the dial, which was actually very special. So we ended up talking a lot about just family heirlooms.
Did you tell the story that you told here to anyone on the show?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that would have given a lot more context.
It would have given a little bit more context. Yeah.
Because what we heard was just a couple mentions of kind of the gold Rolex. I have this Rolex. I have this Rolex. Why were you talking about it like that?
Well, because I never mentioned it, like I never brought it up to anybody.
Yeah.
But I get it. It's flashy. It's shiny. And so people came up and they said, "Hey, like, is that a Rolex?" And I go, "Yeah." And then they're like, "Oh, can I look?" And I go, "Sure." And then, "Can I try it on my wrist?" "Sure." But you can see how that can be, I guess, portrayed as me maybe looking like in context, like, sticking it in people's face. But obviously that's not what happened. It was always people would ask. And
it's funny because when I first started kind of blogging about watches and stuff like that, I was always very timid, even to like take pictures of my luxury watches. And the first time I was posting on my just individual Instagram account back in 2015, and one of my friends, he'll deny this, he texts me and says, "Hey Craig, like, I was posting some of my Rolexes, some other watches." He said, "First of all, because of you, my whole Explore feed is now watches." And he said, "It's also kind of obnoxious." And so that led me to starting a separate Instagram account that became Wrist Enthusiast, that became, everything I'm doing today. So, I get that. Like, sometimes people outside of the watch community don't necessarily understand our obsessions with watches.
Yeah. And I think that even those inside the watch community that may have seen how it seemed like I was with my watch might also have been like, that's not a great representation. 'Cause it looked like, I like to think that I collect watches because, look, I'm an art dealer, and watches are art. It's art that you wear on your wrist. These are absolute artists in every sense of the word. And that's what I hope that anything I collect in general, it reflects. But personally, the last thing I care about is like any sort of like display of like status or anything like that.
So let's talk about kind of your collecting journey. Do you remember what the first watch that you ever bought or received as a gift was?
Yes. It was this watch which actually broke last week.
Okay.
This Tissot, I believe it's a PRC 200. I might have had like a random
Like Swatch
or something in high school, but that one in college I think was like $300, which for me was like a lot at the time. And it was, I think I got it when I was 21, and it ran strong for literally just the crown like fell off over Thanksgiving, but I'll get it repaired.
Yeah. And this was, you bought for yourself or?
Yeah, for myself.
Very nice.
And I figured when I got my first watch, I wanted something that I could wear sporty and sort of with a suit, and it could work. And so I've always kind of had a thing for black rubber straps.
Okay, and so like, how did your collecting kind of develop after that? Because I'm looking at what's on the table here, and there's a kind of very wide range of both price and style. Like what some of the things that I'm noticing, you said you have this Piguet, which is very kind of classic and dressy, but then you have the Arnold and Son Time Pyramid, and you have the one of the older, the vintage AP Star Wheels, which is like, these are very kind of, I don't want to say obscure, but sometimes they're watches that people that aren't real collectors wouldn't necessarily know about.
Right. Most people might think of like the Royal Oak when they think of AP or something like that. Yeah, so I guess it's a mixture of, first of all, the Breguet as well as this Rolex here I inherited. And that actually has my grandfather's initials on the back, AFF, Arthur F. Furman. And so that one I inherited. I guess I kind of collect watches in the way that I collect art, which is, I mean, it's cliche, but I buy what I love. And I sometimes find myself going down different rabbit holes. So I guess, I don't know where to start here. This Hublot I got this at Art Basel, which I just came back from a few years ago. And one thing I'll say is I know that there's, in the watch community, it seems like there's a lot of preference on brands. Like, I know Hublot is not seen as maybe as legitimate as like a.
I will die on the hill that I hate the backlash Hublot gets.
I agree completely.
Can I see yours? So
it's a collaboration actually with an artist named Richard Orlansky. And, and he does a lot of
the facets stuff on this are really nice.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why I think that Hublot gets a bad rap. Okay.
I'm super interested.
Look, first of all, I think what some people in the watch community don't like is that there are some watches from Hublot that have, kind of movements off the shelf movements from other companies that they throw on watches that are $10,000.
Yeah.
And they don't like that, and they think that, you know, if you're going to be charging $10,000 for a watch, you should have your own in-house movement on it. But other brands do that as well, and they don't get the same sort of backlash. Hublot, to me, is actually very innovative as a brand. They were the first brand that mixed gold and rubber, like gold cases with rubber straps. First brand to do that. They kind of innovated in both ceramic and colored ceramic, both in cases and bracelets, and also sapphire cases and bracelets. And there are some watches like the MP10, which is this crazy watch that took them 10 years to develop or 7 years to develop, that, you know, if it was produced by any other brand, people would go crazy over it, but they see it's Hublot and they give it kind of a bad, you know, just like talk it down. So I disagree with most people. I think Hublot, you know, is it the top brand that I would buy? Probably not, but there is value in the brand, and they've done a lot of very innovative stuff. And this is an example of that.
Yeah, the face is spectacular.
Yeah, both the face and the case are just faceted in a way you rarely see on watches, and it makes it kind of just more artistic.
Yeah. Another watch, I mean, I guess while we're on the subject of brands that I think get bad raps, I don't know if they get, I see it split. Another brand that I actually really want to get that I think gets a better rap is Tudor.
Oh, Tudor. I think people love Tudor.
What's the one? It's the one with the special forces where it's like 58.
Oh yeah, the FXD. Is it the FXD with the fixed lugs, or is it? There's the Black Bay 58.
That's what I meant.
Okay,
Yeah, the Black Bay 58.
I mean, I love the Black Bay,
Yeah.
and you have the 54, which is a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
I haven't heard. I think Tudor. I mean, maybe
maybe I just see on like Reddit, like I see these things that are like Tudor is for someone who can't afford a Rolex, and I'm like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I love Tudor.
Me too.
I think it's really good value for what you're getting. So maybe some people outside of the watch community, I think that a lot of people in the watch community appreciate what Tudor is doing. So cool. I need to go down that Reddit rabbit hole now.
I don't know. There's Reddit rabbit holes for everything. And I learned, don't Reddit yourself. If you ever find yourself a bit of a like public villain in any way, do not
what is
look
that
at
like? Like after being on the show, I would find it hard not, you know, I'm like a hypochondriac, so I have any problem, like, you know, my eyes twitching too much, I'm like, okay, I need to go on Reddit and self-diagnose and stuff like that. So I can't even imagine if I remember when I posted my first YouTube video, which surprisingly was one of the best performing videos. Someone wrote in the comments that I look dead behind my eyes.
Oh my god!
So you know, I can imagine if you've been on a TV show that's watched by millions of people, it can be tough.
Yeah. I mean, for me, luckily, after the reunion, I got, I guess, a little bit of redemption, and I think people move on. I know that some other folks, some of my friends from the show, still get a lot of negative comments, which really just sucks. But you know, well, Reddit is funny specifically because unlike Instagram, comments are not fun, but they tend to be shorter. Yeah. But Reddit, at least, they're grammatically correct. They're long. They're like, they have all these theories. So you find yourself reading these comments, and you're like, and they're like very in depth. So they really cut
like
deep.
You're a plant. You were planted there.
Right.
You know.
I was a plant, or all these I mean, there was. I won't even go into some of them were pretty bad, but I think everyone will say if that ever happens, don't read the comments. But it's kind of like you have to play with fire to get burned. Yeah. To know that. So
yeah. I mean, I've talked to a lot of creators that say, you know, they love kind of the controversial stuff because it gets people talking, and it's like they're laughing all the way to the bank because the more people that are, you know, commenting, like sometimes we do things that are a little bit more controversial. I mean, maybe not as controversial that we really care, but it gets people talking, and then, you know, you get more views for it. So I guess there's kind of both edges to that, to that, both sides of that coin. So this is kind of related to that, right?
Yes, actually.
So tell us about, this looks like, you know, like a Michael Kors watch, or just like it has no branding.
Right.
A quartz movement, I think. It has a chronograph, but no chronograph pushers on it. So
And can you? I don't think you can even adjust the bracelet size in there, and it's huge. Like, am I? I mean, I see a small pin. Like, am I missing something on this?
Yeah, it looks like it has pinholes, but like,
I mean, for
oh, you can. It's push pins, but they're so you have to get this tool that you kind of push you can either hammer them through.
Oh, okay.
So,
but not simply, I guess.
No, it's
okay.
My watch blog started our own brand, and I refused to use this type of strap.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted screws. It's just so much easier. So tell us about, this is another gold watch.
Yes.
And tell us about this.
Gold.
Gold plated.
Yeah, gold plated.
I don't even, PVD'd.
Well, I mean, it was like $13. So after my part of the show came out, I got kind of memed pretty heavily for the money talk and the Rolex talk. And also it seemed like I couldn't shut up about being an art dealer. And so Netflix kind of had some fun with that, and they released like art dealer hats and art dealer shirts. They even changed their bio. So anyways, it became like a thing for a week. And other brands smartly capitalized on it. For example, Walmart said, like, released this, like, a tweet and a post that I guess went kind of viral that said art dealer starter pack. And it was like implying, like, because it was like, like the gold watch that I couldn't show. So this was like some watch that you could buy at Walmart, and it was that specific watch. So I figured I would buy my own meme watch as sort of a memorabilia of my time. It
doesn't even say like Folex or anything on it.
Nothing. It's literally just.
Is it like one of those? Did they get? Do you know how? During Halloween they have those like spirit like Halloween like outfits. Was it like one of one of those?
That was kind of the vibe of the post. Yeah, exactly.
So but yours is not a chronograph. I mean, if you want to be for next Halloween, Leo, you can buy this watch for $14 at Walmart.
That's true. Yeah,
it's a lot cheaper than buying a day date.
Yeah,
that's very interesting. So let's get into some of the watches that I thought were really interesting. So first, let's talk about the Arnold & Son Time Pyramid.
Sure. So
How long have you had it for?
I've had this one for 2.5 to 3 years.
Okay.
And I actually traded a piece of art with a client. Like we did a little trade, which was kind of fun.
Was it on his wrist, and you're like, I like that?
So, sort of. I had seen it on his wrist his long client. I'd seen it on his wrist at one point, and then he was sort of interested in a sort of a piece of art, and then I complimented it, and then he kind of proposed it, and I was like, actually, and so then it became kind of But what I loved about this watch is I love the pyramid clocks that have the dual power sources, and I actually had kind of coincidentally been considering getting one because I just think they're so cool. And I had seen one come up for auction because I'm often in like art auctions for clients, and they had sold an old one, and so I just think it's just spectacular.
Yeah. I mean, I've always loved this watch. I mean, you got the skeletonized dial. This one you can kind of see through the backside. We were talking earlier, and I was saying that one of the things, some people have very hairy wrists, so what they did on follow-up models was put a mirrored case back. I actually kind of like the fully kind of see-through dial. You see that with some like Richard Mille's and some other brands. And then you have obviously the power reserves, and this is a really cool piece, and
it's so unique, and I love the dial is on the bottom, which is really interesting.
And same with the crown is on on the bottom as well. This is really nice. So this is a very interesting piece that not many people know about. And the other one that I had my eyes on was the Audemars Piguet Star Wheel. So tell us about that.
This is I would say probably the crown jewel of my collection here. I love artists that I feel are pushing boundaries, and as I said, I think that watchmaking is artistry. It's just in another form. It's on your wrist instead of on a canvas, and I To me, I also just love vintage watches in general.
Yeah.
Part of it kind of reminds me of my family a little bit. And first of all, I just love that it's actually really easy to read the time on this watch.
Yeah.
A lot of watches that are kind of unique aren't really that easy, but this one, it's almost like digital in a way. It's like number.
Yeah.
And I think it's both. I think it's kind of also understated in its own way. But I mean, it's funny because I'm more of an art guy than a watch guy, despite this year, and so a lot of it I'm kind of looking forward to learning more about it.
Yeah, I mean,
frankly.
you have this is the wandering hour complication, which I think I was writing a review of one of the newer ones. So they re-released this watch, or a variation of this watch, in the code 1159, which is a little bit bigger and has, I think, an aventurine dial. It's really nice as well. But you see, like, Urwerk uses this complication as well in a lot of their watches. You don't see it that often. There's some smaller micro brands that are starting to do it as well, but I think it's as early as like the 1800s when the wandering hour first appeared. I think in like just like larger clocks. And this is probably from the 70s or 80s. And yeah, so for those, we'll have B-roll up, but for those that don't know, the hours are spinning discs that spin around, and as the correct hour comes in, it points to what minute it is as well as it moves along. So
you're welcome to like wind it on the camera if you want, or like
or pull it out and
show it.
We'll get that when we do the
B-roll
with the B-roll after. But yeah, this is a really, really cool piece. And how long have you had this one for?
2 years.
Okay.
Maybe a hair less.
What are there any pieces that you have your eyes on that you're thinking about?
So the Tudor Black Bay 58.
Yep.
I just think people more badass than me have worn that thing, so that's kind of cool. And then, I feel like the cliche answer would for me to say Patek, because it's like, I mean, who doesn't want one? But honestly, I think if I don't know, I've been on a bit of a skeleton kick, and I think that the Cartier Santos skeleton.
I love the Santos skeleton.
Yeah, the skeleton is so cool.
I just wish I think they only make the skeleton in the large size, and the medium size is just so much better for the Santos.
I didn't know that 'cause I have tiny wrists. So I
what size is it? Do you know the size of your wrist?
No, I don't. I should know that, actually.
Yeah, you should. I have 6.75 inch wrist, so mine's not that big. It's kind of flat though, so that helps.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of things that go into whether something fits. So what do you think about have you seen the new Cubitus, the new Patek, the square Nautilus?
Oh, okay. I think I saw. I might have seen. Did you have it on your Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, then I think that's where I saw it. Yeah.
What do you think of it? That's kind of has had the most kind of controversy, I would say, in the last few months in watch releases.
I don't know if I have a strong opinion, so I would say, I guess I like the thought of them doing something a little different, even though their brand is super about tradition.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would say mixed, but no strong opinion either way.
Okay.
What's your thoughts? I'll go with you on this one.
So
I'll toe the party line.
So it's the first new collection that they've released in the last 30 years. And they've been kind of touting this for a few years now, and for me, I saw it in person a few times, and it's not a bad watch in person, and I'm sure people will buy it and will do well. It just looks a lot like the Nautilus, which is kind of their most sought after lineup. Like the dial's very similar, the bracelet's the same, and it's just like they squared the case. So to me, it's not for a brand that has so much like ability to hire the best designers, and it I don't know, if like AP made a square Royal Oak back in the day, which is actually really cool. It was quartz. Like the vintage ones are really cool, and if they kind of called it like the Nautilus cubed and didn't make it a completely separate collection, I think it would have done a little bit better, or the feedback would have been a lot better.
Oh, so the Patek Cubitus, it is intended to be its own
It's its
separate
own
thing.
separate collection.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. It's not just like it's not a spin-off of the Nautilus. They're trying to say,
No.
oh, in that case, I get where you're coming from. 'Cause
Yeah.
it does just look like a Nautilus, but square kind of.
But these types of things, like the Code 1159, for example, which is what the new Star Wheel is in, people didn't like it when it first came out, and it's actually like they improved upon it. They made them some smaller, and it's gained a lot more of a following and a lot more acceptance, I think.
I think they're square now, right? Are the new ones square?
No, it's
Oh no, the Star
so
Wars.
it's circular, but what they do, which is kind of cool, they have this mid case, which is actually octagonal, to kind of play into the Royal Oak, which has an octagonal bezel. But you wouldn't know that unless you like were holding it and saw the mid case of the watch, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
So you actually have, besides the Tissot, a couple of affordable watches too. You have that Timex. You said that's the one you wear most.
Yeah, it used to be the Tissot, but it broke. And then
So it's a recent wear the most.
Well, I would say switch off between the
Okay.
two, but generally, yeah. It's also just light, and I played a lot of tennis growing up. My tennis coach would rock the watch on this side of his wrist, and I always thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
So I like kind of wearing it just to be
Yeah.
different. And then this is the third watch that I inherited. There's
Okay.
the Rolex, the Piguet, and then this, which is very heavy.
Good.
But it's a fun like pool day shirt. It's a Krieger Sport, and it has a chronograph, and it has a tide meter, so you can set the tide for like your local body of water.
Oh yeah, so the Tag Heuer made a couple with the Tide, and Hodinkee just released a collaboration with Tag Heuer, bringing it back.
Cool.
Yeah, this is heavy.
It's very heavy. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's a
I
little
don't
too
think
big
I've ever
to wear.
seen
With,
this before.
yeah,
It's thick.
it's super
it's
thick. You can't wear it with long sleeves.
This
No.
is this,
It's enormous. But yeah, it's a more affordable watch, and it's I said it's really fun for it's like a great pool day or like boat watch.
yeah. No, this is cool, and I think people are probably thinking like, what is this? So this watch. Well, first of all, the case is like a straight jacket, right?
Yeah, it's meant to be a straight jacket.
Okay. So what's the watch that goes with this case?
The Insanity by Pierre Coun.
Okay.
It's a single hand watch.
I've actually never seen this watch before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you're teaching me something now. Tell me about it.
So okay.
You're on the spot.
I'm nervous.
Okay.
So it's a single hand watch, and it's inspired by the Spirograph, and it actually there's a famous artist that has a Spirograph sculpture that I just love. His name's Olaf Eliasson, and it's this Spirograph sculpture. And so I fell in love with that watch, and it comes in different color ways, and that one is a little bit more of a subtle colorway, but it's harder to read the time. It's kind of funny that I thought, oh, let me go for a more subtle colorway when it's such a loud watch. Like I feel like you should just own that it's loud. But the thing that I fell in love with most was the box.
Yeah. I mean, it gives me like, with this color, like Riddler vibes. Like,
Yeah,
from Batman.
literally,
like,
yeah, so
and
true.
like it makes sense with the whole entire Insanity and the straitjacket. So yeah, so this has a wandering hour complication too, but it's like very different because they're stationary, it appears, but the inner hour hand spins around the point at that
Yeah, and actually the very, very center of it, that spiral, it moves gradually, but that's one rotation a minute. Like
Okay,
the
so
very center spiral.
Oh yeah,
it's
so
not,
that's the second hand.
that's the second hands. Yeah. It doesn't tick, but it, like if you look at it, you'll see it's just like ever so fades in a circle.
Yeah, but it's like an optical illusion. You almost can't.
You almost can't see it. Yeah,
it looks like it's staying in the same.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's so crazy.
When did you get this watch?
I got that one a little over a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I've heard of this brand before.
Yeah, Pierre Coun. He makes a couple of kind of wild watches, but I think that one I think is sort of like the one he's like I think kind of known for.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, see, you're teaching me stuff now.
I'm honored.
So it's funny. I interviewed Kevin O'Leary, and one of the things he does with all his watches that I asked him about, he kisses his watches before he puts them down. And you're kind of known for doing
Oh,
the
mwah, mwah, mwah,
yeah.
mwah, mwah.
Do you do
Yeah.
that to your watches?
You know what? I should.
You should.
I
Why don't you-
should.
which
I
is your
should.
favorite?
Which is my favorite? Oh, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
After everything it's been through, I think. Mwah, 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 mwah. There we go. You can
See,
clip,
right?
clip that. But yeah. By the way, I will say, I don't know if we want to open it, but the inside of the box
Oh, let's see it then.
actually looks like an insane asylum
I
on
don't
the
know.
inside.
Do you have to like?
Yeah, yeah.
open these? This is kind of some people say that the unboxing experience is like the best part of getting a new watch.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I know the belts are kind of weird.
so what do I do?
Yeah, you just kind of like,
Just yank
yeah, kind of yank
there
it.
we
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
Okay.
And then there's your Velcro on this side.
And then this one you have to do too?
So, yep, you go like this.
Okay. And then this
And
one,
then,
right?
yeah, oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is.
The belts are hard to get off. I can,
Yeah, you do this. I don't want to break your.
sure, I know, I feel, I get you.
If you can open it, you get to get the watch inside.
There we go.
Okay.
And then here here are the papers
Okay, the papers are up here.
up here, and then you open it, and all the
Let's see. Let's see if we can get this. Is it open this way?
yeah, I'll do it just. Oh no, sorry, this way.
Opposite.
And then
way.
the
There you
inside looks like the inside of an insane asylum, and that's where the
go.
watch.
That's the watches. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just such an experience. It's so crazy.
Yes. They're getting crazy with some of the unboxings. Like
Yeah.
some of the Omega Speedmasters have these like huge boxes,
Mhm.
you know, that are really cool. But this is really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your collection and showing everyone that you actually collect watches.
Thanks, and thank you for letting me share my story.
Yeah.
And yap away here.
So this is the first time you're hearing this real story behind the gold date.
This is the real undoctored.
You heard it here
story.
first.
You heard it here first.
Well, thank you, Leo.
Thank you.